If you've got the heart of a poor poet who eats out of tin cans, but the refined literary tastes of a food reviewer who will only eat at the best restaurants, and because of this seeming contradiction between your hunger for true passion and your insistence on true craftsmanship, you can never find a writer who satisfies you completely. Well, put your napkin in your shirt and break out your finest bottle, because this week we're feasting on the crystal clear perfection of Light Years by James Salter. It was the autumn of 1958. Their children were 7 and 5. On the river, the color of slate, the light poured down. Light Years by James Salter is about Veery and Nidra, one of those couples you envy. Healthy, rustic, preppy, living in a beautiful barn by a river. You sit by the fire with them next to their gorgeous daughters and their devoted dog, but you feel a shiver. There's a draft that runs between them. Their life was two things. It was a life, more or less, at least it was the preparation for one, and it was the illustration of life for their children. They had never expressed this to one another, but they were agreed upon it, and these two versions were entwined somehow, so that one being hidden, the other was revealed. As the story progresses, we see more deeply into this married couple. We look at them separately, we look at them together, and we begin to identify what makes these outwardly abundant people feel like they have very little. "I don't want to go back to our old life," she said it casually. "What do you mean, our old life?" he said. "Veery, you know what I mean. That's one of the things I like best about you. You know what I mean at every level." James Salter is both a man's man and a writer's writer. I guess you could say he's a man's writer, or a writer's man. He was born to a wealthy family in New Jersey and went to West Point like his father. He was an Air Force pilot in the Korean War and only left the service because his first novel, The Hunters, was an instant hit. There was even a movie made of it starring Robert Mitchum.
"I'm off balance. Don't press me too hard, please."
Along with Light Years and The Hunters, James Salter wrote A Sport and a Pastime, Solo Faces, several volumes of poetry, short stories, and essays, and most impressively, at the age of 88, he has written a critically acclaimed 300-pager called All That Is. "You are not obscure," they told him. "You have friends. People admire your work. He was, after all, a good father. That is to say, an ineffective man." Reading this novel was like drinking cold, clear water out of a mountain stream. There are no impurities. There are just statements of facts about these characters as they move through their lives. They are fallible and beautiful and stupid and godlike, as we all are, and it's amazing how quickly they shift between those things. He felt no hesitation, no fear. It was as if he had never seen a woman before. The sight of her nakedness, the darkness of its core, overwhelmed him. His mind mumbled devotions. His ears were filled with whispers. Light Years is pretty perfect as far as literary fiction goes. It will move you and scare you. First, because the characters are so pathetic, and second, because you realize they're you. Night falls, the cold lies in the fields, the grass turns to stone. In bed, he lay like a man in prison, dreaming of life.